Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, Sal and I will be picking our underrated slash underappreciated England Test 11 from 2000 to the present day. So the rules are each player must have a maximum of 40 caps. You must include one spinner and a wicket-keeper in our lineups, and uncapped players can be selected as well. So we did a coin toss before we got underway. So Sal, you called correctly with heads, and you've won the toss. So you can pick anyone. You don't have to pick an opener. You can pick anyone with any role, and then I'll do the same and pick my player, and then vice versa. I'll then go for the second player, and then I can pick anyone, and you pick someone off the same role. So let's get underway, mate. So as I say, you can pick anyone you like. Which player have you gone for first?
Well, I know I don't have to pick an opener, but I think I'm going to pick an opener because I think it's criminal that he didn't ever get the opportunity to play a home test match. But I'm going number one, top of the order, Michael Carberry.
It was. I was going to pick him. I should have said in the rules that whoever we pick, we cannot pick the same team. So you've got him in straight away, and he was one of my openers as well. So you've gone for
So
Michael Carberry. Why have you gone for
I've
him?
I've gone for Michael Carberry because I think he. I just feel really sorry for him after the 2013-14 Ashes. It was not a good series for any player, but he and Kevin Peterson were the two highest scorers of that entire series for England, and yet they were the two that strangely got sacked. Now, KP, we all know that what happened there, but with Michael Carberry, I thought it was really harsh that he got sacked because, yeah, he made lots of starts and didn't go on, but there were lots of players in that team that didn't even make starts. And I mean, you've got lots of middle order players in there, and even some of the lower order saying how much they hated facing Mitchell Johnson, understandably, in that series. But you got to think Michael Carberry was facing him fresh, start of the innings, brand new ball, banging it in. And actually, he didn't ever give his wicket away. He gave it absolutely everything. Played for the shirt. I think he managed to notch up a little 50 as well. But he got lots of 30s, 40s, which again, you know, when I look back on some other sort of players over the Ashes series over the years, and I think they've been given probably more opportunities than Michael Carberry has. And as I say, like,
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you said. So I had Carberry in. He was the second top scorer for England in that series, and behind Kevin Peterson, and both of them got ditched post the Ashes. You know, talk, as it always happens at the end of an away Ashes series
yep.
for England, especially when we get thrash, which is obviously quite a lot. So, yes, I did have Carberry in. So instead, my replacement for him is Alex Lees. Now
Oh,
he might not got the runs he probably should have got to cement his place in the side. But I think I tell you what, a couple of those innings he played in the summer of 2022, when obviously Baz McCullum took over, Ben Stokes as captain. I think a couple of his key partnerships at the top of the order was Zach Crawley, like the that delayed fifth test against India. You know, that epic run chase. Obviously, Root and Best, they rightly get the headlines, but Crawley and Lees himself got England off to a flyer. I watched the highlights of it the other day, and they put on a century. When you're chasing 378, I think it was. If you get 100 partnerships straight away for your first wicket, is absolutely the but perfect start. And I think a couple other times that Lee's played pretty well, actually. Not his natural game, playing that attacking style, but he more than did his job. So unfortunately for him, he just didn't quite get the. It obviously didn't get a ton for England, so obviously that's why he got dropped for Ben Duckett in that winter of 2022, like in Pakistan, etc. So, but I think, yeah, Alex Lees did a good job in that period for England, which goes under the radar, I would say, in
yeah.
that particular summer.
Yeah, and the thing that I remember about Alex Lees that I liked is that in comparison with a lot of the other England batters at the time, he looked uncomplicated. You know, he didn't have a huge step in just before the bowler bowled. You know, he didn't have huge movement. You know, he stayed still, he concentrated, decent backlift, and I just felt he looked quite natural. And yeah, I completely agree with you. I think he should have been given the opportunity to play some more. So I thought he did a decent job.
Yeah, absolutely. So right, so we've picked one opener each. I'm gonna change tack for my go and pick a spinner.
Oh.
So it's someone that, as fans of the channel, we're big fans of this player. Should have played a lot more than the three Test matches. He played, and I think he should be in the squad now. Actually, he's in the one day and in the T20 squads. was one of the Wisden Cricketers of the Year for his exploits last summer. It's Liam Dawson. The last couple of years in particular for Hampshire, and even his white ball form in the franchises has been amazing. But in first class cricket for Hampshire, he gets runs, gets wickets regularly, and he's improving all the time. And you look at some of the spinners that have played since then, like Shoaib Bashir and even Leach to a certain extent. I think Dawson is a far better batter, and I think his bowling is I would argue better as well. So to only get the three tests, and his last appearance was in 2017 against South Africa, and and he did okay, but he's improved a lot since then. So I think he is definitely be underappreciated by the management and the captains and the coaches since then. So at least he's in the white ball team now, but should have been given far more test opportunities. So yeah, my spinner coming in at number. I've got him at number 8. I mean, he bats at number 6 for Hampshire, but I've got him at a very useful number 8, Moeen Ali sort of role. Is Liam Dawson. So who's your spinner?
So my spinner isn't like a lower order bat; they're a tail ender. So what would you? I can give you my number 8, or I can give you my spinner. It feels. Should I give you my spinner? But I'm
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah. Go with your spinner. Yeah.
I'm batting him at number 11 though, and I don't want you to laugh at this, but honestly, his numbers are incredible. I'm going Gary Keedy.
All right. Okay, that's a cool. That's a bit of a left field one.
Now I think he's of all the players to not get an England call up. I think he's probably the most unfortunate in that I think he was just born in the wrong era. Because he was probably at his absolute peak, under Duncan Fletcher, probably, Andy Flower, that kind of era, where they're both coaches that want their spinner to be able to bat, be able to field, be all round cricketers. But I think with Gary Keedy, I think if he was kind of playing in the current day, I think he could get an opportunity, bearing in mind how deep England bat. Because I think the thing that frustrates me sometimes with England is over the years they've maybe disrespected spin bowling. As much as I admire Moeen Ali and he's a fantastic handy bowler, I think if you want to take 20 wickets in a Test match, you've got to pick your best bowlers. And I think he's someone that, again, not absolute world-class, incredible numbers in a similar vein to Michael Carberry, I suppose. But I think if you look at the sheer weight of wickets that he took, all at about kind of average about 30, 31, hundreds and hundreds of wickets. He knew what he was doing. He had a bit of nous. And I think he would have done a fantastic job. And I think on some of those subcontinent tours, years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I'm thinking like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, those sort of tours that England have traditionally kind of, under that period of Alistair Cook as captain, kind of struggled with a bit. I think he
Yeah.
would have been fantastic, and I think that even I don't know when it was, maybe 2016 when Gareth Batty got recalled to the England side quite late on in his career.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that was against
I,
Bangladesh, wasn't it? That tour was it?
yeah, and yeah, he did okay, but I think that I just felt sorry for Gary Key that he always got consistently overlooked, and everybody else always said, oh, if he could bat, he'd be in the England side. And I feel
Yeah.
like in the modern day, considering how deep England bat and how deep most teams bat now, in Test cricket these days because of white ball cricket, I think he could have done a fantastic job. And as I said, I think if he were to be playing now, I think he could be doing a very almost like Shoaib Bashir role. But doing it really well with some nous and experience, and also with the knowledge that he's not always got to be attacking. He can also hold an end up as well and give some of the seam bowlers a bit of a
Yeah,
break.
yeah.
So, for
Well,
me, number
Ashley
11,
Giles made an England career of being a defensive bowler. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, massively, and look, for me, I mean, again, absolute love for Ashley Giles because of what he did in any one part of that 2005 team. For me, he's up there
yeah,
on a podium. But I just feel like I'd prefer, if I were captain, if I was coach, I'd prefer to have a spin bowler that could actually take wickets, as experience, and has sort of got hundreds and hundreds of
yeah,
wickets in the back pocket for me. So Gary Keedy, number 11. Good lad. I'd get him
yeah,
in there, and also I'd also pick him as well because a wicket keeper for an England side can actually say "nice Gary" which would be a bit of a
Oh, just for that alone, get him in, mate. Yeah,
get him in.
well,
Anyone called Gary, getting him in.
oh, mate, yeah. Yeah, Gary Key, what a great shout, mate. So obviously we picked our spinners. There was two others I considered to go with Dawson. Obviously I picked with the Hampshire man in the end. Two I considered was Adil Rashid. Obviously a legend in white ball cricket for England, and he did have some Test matches. 2018 against India that summer. And just unfortunately, he's had his injuries, and I don't think his heart was really in red ball cricket for a while. And obviously he's focused on the white ball formats, which has been a fantastic decision by him, and obviously England to keep picking him in white ball cricket because they're still picking him now at 37, I think he is now. So I think his exploits in Test cricket go a little bit under the radar, obviously in comparison to his white ball format. And going back to the start of the 2000s, he played a second fiddle to Ashley Joel, especially in those winter tours to the subcontinent. But someone who's a decent enough bat and could take wickets was Robert Croft as well. So he was another I considered, but in the end I went for Liam Dawson. Which other spinners did you consider?
I did think about Gareth Batty because I
Yeah,
felt as though maybe he could have been given a bit more of an opportunity. And I remember in that, again, I can't remember exactly when it was. It was 2016, 17, that tour, subcontinent tour, where he got recalled quite late on in his career. And I think he was recalled because I think the England selectors and the England captain at the time actually asked the umpires in the county circuit, who is the best spin bowler that you've seen? And I think unanimously they said Gareth Batty because he just knew exactly what he was doing. In a similar vein to Gary Keady, he was very experienced.
yeah, you knew what you were getting with him.
Yeah, massively. And yeah, to be fair, he could bat a bit as well. Um, but yeah, I just feel in terms of just Nous experience and sheer volume of wickets as well, and the fact that it was always overlooked. Whereas I think Batty, he got a few opportunities, not as many as probably he should have got, but I feel as though Gary Keady, he deserves he deserved a mention, I think, and I think it's just a shame that obviously he wasn't that talented with the bat. But yeah, Gareth Batty was probably the other one that I was considering.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, really good chat with Gary Keady. That's what this video is all about. So right, it's your turn now, mate. So which player have you gone for next?
Oh, right, I'm going to go for a wicket keeper just because I know we probably picked the same one and I haven't got a backup that's very good. So I think you know who I'm going to go for. Number 7, James Foster.
Yeah, he's one of my. I've not gone for him, but he was one
You've
I
not gone for
considered.
him? Okay,
No, I
fantastic.
haven't. No.
There we go. So I've wasted the pick there. But yeah, I was going to go. I've gone James Foster because I just feel that he was absolutely unreal with the gloves. I mean, I remember when I was younger and you'd stick Sky Sports on, you'd watch Essex and the T20s and you kind of be watching them and everyone would say the same thing. He's the best gloveman in the world, best gloveman in the world. And he could bat as well. And I suppose the thing, looking back now in retrospect, when you look at Geraint Jones's kind of career average in Test cricket, which I know we slightly warped because of that 2006-7 Ashes series. I think he ended up like kind of maybe mid-20s, Geraint Jones, something like that.
I think it was less than that, mate. I think
Less
about
than that,
22 or
yeah,
something that he ended up with.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think James Foster, I don't think he played many test matches, but the ones that he did, I'm pretty sure they were all against, or pretty much all against Australia. And
Yeah,
the
India as
best,
well.
I mean, the fantastic Indian side with all the greats, and that
Yeah, it was
probably
just
the best
the
side.
seven, mate. He ended up playing.
Yeah, and then I think in that 2002-3 Ashes series coming replacing injured Alex Stewart against probably I would say the best team that I've ever seen in my lifetime, that were at their absolute peak at that point as well in their own backyard. I think, James Foster, to the fact that he played all those Test matches against the best sides in the world, and he didn't get a Bangladesh or a Zimbabwe or an India, or an Ireland to play against. He was playing against the top sides at the peak, majority of them away from home in Australia, in losing sides. So the fact, I think he averaged 25 or something across his England career,
Yeah,
something like that in
yeah,
Test
that's
cricket.
right. Yeah,
And actually, when you look at his first class batting average as well, I think I'm right in saying maybe like mid to late 30s, 36, something like that. He was he was a real player. Um, the, I think there were rumours going around. I don't know if you can shed any light on this, but that he didn't really enjoy playing for England at that time under Duncan Fletcher. He certainly wasn't one of the fans of Duncan Fletcher. I don't know if he was necessarily a member of the Axis of Evil, but I think the impression I got, and from things that I've read, he wasn't necessarily that excited about playing for England, and which I think is a shame. And again, when I look at who replaced him, the player, the wicket keepers that England went through at that that period of time, even after Geraint Jones, we went through that period of like every summer we'd have a different wicket keeper until we got to Matt Pryor. I feel like he could have been absolutely the best wicketkeeper in the world. So yeah, I feel it's an absolute crying shame that he didn't get picked more often. And the amount of, don't get me wrong, I think Geraint Jones, again, 2005 player, up there on a pedestal for me as always. But the catches that he dropped in his career would never have got dropped by James Foster, and it would have made life a lot easier.
No.
And I don't think at the end of their careers they would have two dissimilar averages either. So for me, yeah, James Foster absolutely has to be.
Yeah, no, really good shout, mate. So, yeah, James Foster was one of three keepers I considered. They were all fantastic glovemen, um, but I've gone for the player who played more for England, um, and did better with the bat than out of the three of them, and had more of an impact as an England player. So, yeah, I did consider James Foster. Another one of a similar era was Chris Reed.
Yeah.
Um, you know, as much as Duncan Fletcher, I think I think he liked Jones's um, batting ability, but I don't think there was too much of a difference between
That's what I mean.
Jones and Chris Reed. I think Chris Reed was a far better gloveman. I just don't think
Mm.
Fletcher fancied him at all. Picked him because he had to, really, not because he wanted to. So I think, yeah, Chris Reed is really unlucky. Admittedly, he didn't. I don't think he didn't translate his Nottinghamshire form with the bat to England, but even so, I think he should have been given far more opportunities. But in the end, I've gone for a current player who could still play more Test matches for England. He was England's wicketkeeper until quite recently. I've gone for Ben Folkes.
Mm.
I think he should have played a few more Test matches around the 2019 period where we end up getting Joss Butler back and shoehorning him into the team and over COVID as well. Despite folks getting a century on his debut against Sri Lanka away. But again, go back similar to Alex Lees, that summer of 2022 goes under the radar, Ben folks. Some of his innings, his partnerships he put on with Joe Root in particular. And yeah, his glove work was fantastic. So I think his contributions don't get spoken about a huge amount, and they should do. They focus more on his shortcomings for England with his management of the tail and all that kind of stuff. But I think his batting at times was really like translated Surrey form to England. So I think that doesn't get a bit spoken about enough. So my keeper is Ben Folkes. Slotting in I've got him at number 6, maybe a bit higher, but you'll see why with the players I've selected around him. So right, so my turn now. So I'm going to go with a top order play. I'm going to put him at number 3, a very, very talented player. I've gone for James Vince
Mm.
at number 3. So I think with James Vince, it's a case of what could have been really. If he converted his 83 at Brisbane in that 17-18 Ashes, if he didn't run himself out and got a ton and maybe another one that series and kicked on from there, I think he could still be in an England team now.
Mm.
But I think he was slightly mismanaged at times. But also merely didn't obviously translate his skill level into obviously sizable runs really. But I think yeah, it's definitely sort of underappreciated player. I think he could have been given more opportunities, but for the talent he had. Or if he showed it at times in white ball cricket for England, but yeah, for Test cricket, yeah, I think obviously I don't think the caliber of player, but he reminds me a little bit how we didn't get the best out of him, like Mark Ramprakash and Graham Hick, but obviously they're more 90s players, so not included in this. But yeah, so talent wise, I think he was a very good player, but and I think he'll admit himself he didn't quite obviously get the best out of his Test career. But yeah, I think James Vince. Yeah, as I say, it's a case of what could have been really with him if he converted that 83 in the first Test at Brisbane. then you just never know. The stars could have aligned, and he could have been given more opportunities than he did in the end. So yeah, my number three is James Vince. Who have you gone for as a top order player?
I've gone Ravi Bopara. Um, and before anyone
What,
kind
Bopara
of,
number three or number six, where he should have batted for England?
I'm going number three. I'd have
Yeah.
backed him at number three. Yeah. And before anyone else thinks of complaining that this is Essex focus, that's the last Essex player. But honestly, I looking at his stats, looking at the sheer volume of runs that he scored, I yeah, I feel it was an absolute travesty that he didn't get to play more for England. And again, similar to Michael Carber in that sense, that I feel as though he kind of got fed to the wolves a little bit in that 2009 series. Um, and I felt as though maybe under different management, maybe under like a Baz McCullum, may have just taken him out the spotlight a little bit, just let him kind of calm down and get him back in the side, or maybe gone full Zach Crawley and just kind of backed him to the hill. I think would have helped him, because all I can kind of remember from that 2009 series was kind of was a lot of silence from the England coaches and saying, oh, kind of not saying an awful lot, and then obviously getting dropped for that fifth and final Test match for Jonathan Trott. And I think people forget the runs that he scored before that Ashes series. I think he was, am I right in saying he's like the only England player or on debut to score 200? I can't remember, but he's got, he was scoring 100 after 100, breaking records. I like the fact that he was quite bottom-handed as well, good flick. He always looked
And
quite compact.
obviously, as we know, as Essex supporters, he can obviously bowl as well at a
Well,
decent
handy
clip.
bowler, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you kind of need to give your seam bowler a bit of a break, he'd turn his arm over as well. And I know some of his probably first-class bowling figures are a bit warped, considering that a lot of it's probably Division Two, and I think him and Jesse Ryder were probably like two of Essex's star bowlers. If you look at his numbers, I think, absolute travesty. He didn't get many more opportunities after that in red ball cricket. And I think the fact that he's still playing today, or admittedly not in red ball cricket, but the fact that he's, I think he's nearly 40 or so, and he's playing white ball cricket still, franchise cricket, I think shows you how good he was. And because you can't do that unless you're a top player. So for me, again, kind of feel that he was slightly harshly treated. And in 2009, had England played Sri Lanka or West Indies or something, I think maybe he would have got a few more runs under his belt and maybe had a bit more credit in the bank for an Ashes series. But I just liked his technique. I felt that he offered something a bit different. I liked how wristy he was. He could manoeuvre the ball into kind of weird areas. He was one of those players that I always felt that he didn't look to break a sweat, but then before you knew it, he was kind of almost at 50. One of those kind of players that you really want in your side. Always look busy, quick between the wickets. So for me, I felt that, and as you say, he's a decent fielder, but also can kind of turn his arm over with the ball as well, and not a slouch, but he always sort of hit 80 mph or something when he needed to. So with the ball, so I felt that he would have been a pretty useful player for England.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. Right, okay, so it's now your turn, mate.
Oh, right. I'm going to go. Who am I going to go for next? I'm going to go number 9. No, sorry, number 10. My number 10, Steve Finn.
Oh, what a good shout! What a good shout!
Number 10, the Watford Wall, Steve Finn. I personally feel as though, again, similar to a lot of the players we've talked about, were kind of just playing in the wrong era. I think Steve Finn under Baz McCullum would have been one of our strike bowlers. Because if you think about it, and what used to annoy me was that Andy Flower, I think he wanted his bowlers no more than 2 and over or something. He wanted maidens, he wanted to build pressure.
Oh
And
yeah.
although it was effective cricket, England won a lot of games. At times it could be pretty boring.
Well,
Whereas,
he was dropped, Sal, wasn't he, in that 10-11
yeah,
Ashes, despite it being the leading wicket taker. He was dropped from
and
the team.
it, yeah, exactly. And he was the leading wicket taker, did nothing wrong. And I suppose Andy Flower takes credit because he sort of thinks, oh well, we won the Ashes, we won that last Test match or whatever. But actually, I think England would have probably won it with or without Steve Finn. I think Australia would kind of had it by that point. But yeah, I feel as though under Baz McCullum, under Ben Stokes, I think he would have been a real force to be reckoned with, because he always had a knack, which is in Test cricket, which is what you want. You want your bowlers to be able to take wickets. You want high strike rates. You want bowlers to be always be threatening. If they go for a few fours, who cares? If their economy rate's 5 and over, who cares? If they've got 3 wickets, 4 wickets, that's job done for me. So, and I think under Baz McCullum, under Ben Stokes, they don't really care about economy rates so much. They want the bowlers to be aggressive, attacking, and to get those kind of difficult wickets. And I think he always had a knack of taking wickets. I
Yeah.
don't think he was express pace, but he had great height, he had great bounce, put it in good areas. And I think, again, one of those players that probably just needed an arm around the shoulder, and was
100%.
probably more carrot than stick. And I think if he'd have been managed properly, I think he would have been a real top England red ball bowler.
Yeah, and absolutely, I completely agree. And as depicted in the Edge documentary, I think a few others noticed it as well. Kevin Peterson being one of them. How poorly he was treated at times. So yeah, it was actually one of my honourable mentions was Stephen Finn. So I would really considered putting him in. So yeah, so I've gone for 3 seamers. So one of my seamers, I'm going to put him just below Dawson at number 9. He only played the 4 Test matches. With an average under 20, and if it weren't for injuries, I think he could have been got a stack load of wickets for England. It's Toby Rowland-Jones. He's still going strong now, age 37 for Middlesex, and yes, they would have
Go on,
played
Tubbs.
more. Yeah, would have played more if it had some unbelievably bad injuries as well, not just like little niggles and stuff, like stress fractures and all sorts. So unfortunately, he had that. Um, that great 2017 Joe Root's first series as captain, and against South Africa, he got removed their top 4 batters, Hashim Amla being one of them,
Mm.
in the space of 33 balls. So what an introduction to Test cricket, and yeah, perfect line and length bowler in English conditions, and he could nip the ball as well. So decent enough with the bat. So yeah, I mean, my goodness, it's such a shame. I'm sure there's a couple other players similar who we're going to select who, like, if injuries
Yeah,
it cost them, they would have played a lot more. So yeah, but I think obviously it was a few years ago now, and that goes on the radar. Toby Rowland-Jones easily could have been a bit before then as well. So
yeah.
but yeah, be a very very underrated Test cricketer for England, only the 4 caps, but just as a first class cricketer, goes really under the
Mhm.
radar. He's got an
Yeah.
average of just over 21 from 161 first class matches. Um, uh, oh no, sorry. That was that. Well, that's his batting, which ain't too bad, but his bowling average in first class cricket just under 25 with 594 victims. So yeah, superb, underrated player in first class cricket, but also those 4 Test matches for England as well. So yeah, Toby Rowland-Jones is my number 9. So it's my go now, and I'm going to go for a seamer as well. So my number 10 is Ryan Sidebottom. So
Ooh,
so
good
left
shout.
armour. Again, another one could have played more, but just the 22 matches. But yeah, made such a difference to England at that particular time. We were a lot of changes in the bowling department. Obviously, Steve Harmison, Matthew Hoggard had the shirt, and then they were ditched for Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad, and that was the beginning of their partnership, which gets spoken about a lot. But yeah, I think it goes under the radar how well Sidebottom did for England. He was the leader of the attack at the time, and those spells it against New Zealand, both away and at home in 2008, in particular. And uh, yeah, yeah, left armour moved the ball, and yeah, I think that solitary appearance in 2001, I think it was against Pakistan, and then didn't play for another 6, 7 years. So. Yeah, superb bowler, and yeah, in terms of obviously he didn't play a lot, so that's why he's not spoken about a huge amount. But my goodness, what an impact in just the 22 games that he had, Ryan Sidebottom. So yeah, very very good player. So he's in a number 10 for me. Which other seamer have you gone for?
Well, before I see my other seamer, so my seamer was going to be Ryan Sidebottom. So that's how underrated I think he was, and it felt like I don't know about you. I mean, I was probably a little bit away from the detail, but it felt as though, as an England fan, he kind of just went off the face of the earth. He was everywhere. He was playing week in, week out. He was absolutely phenomenal. And then suddenly he was never mentioned again. And I know he had injuries, but I just felt it's such a shame. Completely agree with you that he didn't get to play again. Because I thought he was an absolute postman. Just always delivered. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you my actually probably number 9. Who I've gone for now. He's a little bit on the cusp, but I picked him because he got picked. He made his debut for England in the late 90s, but he was incredibly young. Last game, the 2002-3 Ashes, but actually played for another God knows how many years after that. He was very much a noughties player, hence why I've picked him. He was my backup, but Alex Judah.
Oh, what a good shout! What a good shout!
Because again, I think he got picked very young, did very well, as we all know, with his 99. Thanks, Graham Thorpe. He could hold a bat, he could score runs, decent fielder, and I thought he was a very fine bowler as well. I remember it was 2002. I can't remember maybe the series against India 2002. I think he got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
five for it.
He played that summer. Yeah,
And I remember watching, thinking, "Wow, this lad can bowl." He was quick. He was accurate. And yeah, as I say, like back then, Duncan Fletcher's dream because he could bat and field as well. So yeah, and he went back to the county circuit after the 2002-3 Ashes, and I think he ended up playing for Essex for a bit as well. And I mean, he was just the most consistent bowler. Every game he would take wickets, and it was almost felt as though it was always a bit easy for him in a sense. It felt like that anyway. That he was just he should be playing at a slightly higher level. So yeah, Alex Tudor, my number 9, and yeah, I just think it's a real shame that 2002-3 Ashes series and that brutal Brett Lee bouncer that kind of finished his series off, which is horrible to watch.
mm.
And then I think he got a few injuries after that. But yeah, if he hadn't got those injuries, hadn't got hit by Brett Lee, and managed to stay fit, I think he could have very much been in with a shout of playing a lot more for England. So yeah, for me, and I think about that 2002-3 Ashes series. I mean, considering England have lost like 4-0, 5-0, God knows how many times now, for Nasser to only lose, I say only, but lose 4-1, but still win a game, as admittedly the Sydney game, and actually, of course, being outplayed in all the other games, but always kind of being in it for a bit, not being kind of embarrassingly thrashed like England in 06, 7, 13,
Yeah, yeah.
14. So, with such a young, inexperienced team where pretty much all your pros, all your experienced players are kind of out injured, I think deserves probably a bit more credit than it gets as well. Because I mean, it's incredibly unlucky what happened to Nas on that tour. But yeah, I think it was really unlucky that he didn't play more for England, Alex Tudor.
Yeah, absolutely. A really good shout.
My turn now. I'm going for the other opener. So
Okay.
I'm going number 2. I'm going Ed Joyce.
Oh, good shout.
Again, I like to pick players that I feel have had a bit of a bad time and been a bit unlucky in the series they've been picked in the situations they've been picked in. And I think Ed Joyce is up there, and the fact that I know it's not red ball, but he got picked for the white ball side for England against Australia in the VB series in 2006-7 after England had just been crushed 5-0. With Duncan Fletcher sensing that it was going to be sacked, Michael Vaughan out the side, Freddie Flintoff, God knows what was happening there in the dressing room. So, I mean, and he still performed. And the fact that I think he scored, which goes a little under the radar, as I think that VB series does, the fact that England, after losing 5-0, won the white ball series afterwards, the tri series. I think the fact that he played as well as he did was real testament to how good he was. And I think I remember, and you probably have to verify this, but I remember he scored a century in that, I think, semi-final or final of that VB series, and he looked fantastic, and that was against a top side. And the fact that he could produce that sort of performance after barely, not really playing for England much before that, growing up in Ireland, going to Australia, playing for England against that lineup, and helping England essentially win that VB series after such a disappointing Ashes. I think it was an absolute disgrace that he didn't get picked more for England. I don't blame him for going back to Ireland after a few years. But if you look at his first class stats as well, I think I had a look. I think he averaged like high 40s, like way more than I was anticipating. So yeah, Ed Joyce for me, number two.
Yeah,
He's
40, just under 48. Yeah, that's mental. I didn't realize it was that much.
so yeah, and bearing in mind that he played such an important role in that VB series. I think he deserved more opportunities after that. He was kind of the sort of player that England wanted after that series. Yeah, a bit later on, where he was front foot, aggressive but compact, good technique. Wasn't a slogger,
Mm.
but he could, keep the run, strike rate going. So, yeah, for me, very unlucky not to play more. And I think he was unfortunate to have been picked in that 2006-7 Ashes one day series. And I think it was a bit unfortunate to be overlooked thereafter as well, because I thought every time he was asked to perform for England, he did a pretty decent job, I thought.
Yeah, no, good shout, mate. So my fellow opener to go alongside Alex Lees is another lefty, and I'm not just saying recency bias because he scored over 180 against Essex recently. Yorkshireman, it's Adam Lyth. Now he got
Yeah,
a century. He got a century against New Zealand in 2015 before against New Zealand before the Ashes, and yeah, okay, he got worked over a little bit by some unbelievable bowling in Mitchell Johnson, Josh Hazlewood, Mitchell Stark. But I felt he should have been given more opportunities. Look at some of the openers since then, the ample opportunities that they've had. Zach Crawley being one of them, and Adam Lyth only had the 7 matches, I think. So I think he should have.
yeah,
I mean, if he got dropped, then that's fair enough. But to not be given another opportunity despite churning out runs consistently in not only in red ball cricket but white ball cricket for Yorkshire, I think he should have been given more opportunities really. So I think he's sort of a little bit
yeah,
underappreciated in
yeah.
that way. Adam Lyth. A couple of
Mm.
openers I did consider.
Mhm.
Obviously, I would have picked Carberry, but you beat me to him. A couple others were Keaton Jennings and Nick Compton as well. Were two that I considered, but in the end, I've gone for Alex Lees and Adam Lyth. So it's back to my turn now. So I'm going to pick my all rounder. So I've got Liam Dawson in, but I'm going to back this player at number 7. Um, he dismissed Brian Lara for his first ever Test Golden Duck in that 2000 series against West Indies, and played pretty well in England's successful subcontinent tours of Pakistan and Sri Lanka. A point of difference, but could bowl really quickly. It's chalky. It's Craig White. So in terms of the all rounders we've had this century, it's gone back a fair while now. But yeah, Craig White's contributions to that renaissance in England's Test history under Nasser Hussain from sort of 2000 onwards really. I think and then white ball cricket as well. But yeah, in Test cricket, I think Craig White contributed a heck of a lot. His stats might not suggest it. A little bit like Andrew Flintoff at times. You think like, well, the stats don't add up, but like I think Craig White's impact, especially getting Brian Lara hopping around. When did you see that ever really?
Yeah,
So. And I say dismissive for his first ever golden duck in Test cricket. So and he could hit the bat, do well with the bat as well. I think he got his only ton against that fantastic India team on that India tour. I think 2001, I think it was. So yeah, I think Craig White's Test exploits go really under the radar. So really, maybe that it just slips from your mind, from fans' minds. So
yeah.
so
He was
yeah,
quick. He was seriously quick. I remember. Yeah, I
it
mean, he was
was.
much quicker than you thought. He didn't look it when he was. You didn't think that he would be that quick, but yeah, he could. He could really get some speed, get up some speed. So, had
Yeah.
some wheels.
Yeah, and
So
I
yeah,
think because of his,
completely agree with that. Yeah,
yeah, and I think his action obviously contributed to his speed, but ultimately that led to his downfall. That's why he only played 30 matches, Test matches for England. So I think
yeah,
if it weren't for his injuries, I think he could have played definitely a few more. But yeah, his contributions don't really get spoken about. Craig White, so he's my number 7. So who's your? They don't have to be number 7, but who's your all
Oh,
rounder?
So my all rounder that I've got in it, I've stuck in at six. Bit left field again. I've gone Scott Borthwick.
All right.
Now I've gone Scott Borthwick. So I've gone Borthwick because I think it offers something a little bit different. Again, I think where England have gone wrong sometimes it's worked, but sometimes where they've gone wrong is maybe got excited about a young player that's only played a handful of first class matches, got a ridiculous average or whatever, and thought, okay, brilliant. But where I think England haven't, or the selectors haven't really looked at, is those players that may have slightly underwhelming stats, but have done it, churned out wickets and churned out runs year after year after year, experienced, know their game inside out, and will do a decent job. And I think he fits that mold. I think he averages with a bat mid-30s. And I think with the ball, I think he averages about 40. But I like the fact he's a leg spinner. He offers something a bit different. England, I don't think that in my lifetime will ever have a frontline leg spinner that will play lots and lots of test matches. But I think I think it would be really useful to have an all-rounder that hasn't got the pressure of being a frontline spinner, but can kind of be a bit handy and come in. So for me, offer something a little bit different. And I think with the bat as well, again, he's just churned out runs for Durham, and he's captain, I think, or he was captain, so he's got kind of leadership
Yeah,
experience
he,
as
well, he
well, and
was. Yeah.
probably one of those players that, as I mentioned before, Alex Tudor, felt like he's probably slightly too good to play county cricket, and then he's kind of somewhere in between Test and county, So, but I think in different circumstances, I think he could have been given an opportunity. And I think probably similar mold to Moeen Ali. I think you'd probably say Moeen Ali probably got slightly more talent with the bat, but again, when you look at his numbers, pretty similar, and with the bat and ball. So, I feel like he should have been given a bit more of an opportunity for England, in my opinion. 'Cause I think he played one Test match, and I think he did okay as well. So just quite
Yeah, I think it was
surprising
the
he
end
didn't
of
get any
the
more opportunities
that.
after that.
I think it was that last test in the 2013, the
Ashes.
summer. Yeah, I think him and Chris Wokes made their debut at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, and he took a few wickets from memory as well. I think he did okay. Kind of, a bit surprising that again with some of the other players we mentioned,
Or that might have been, that
before
might have
that.
been, no, sorry, that might have been Simon Kerrigan. I can't remember, but some spinner made their
I know
debut
what
in
you mean.
that
Yeah,
test.
Yeah, I think it might have been. I don't know if it was Kerrigan or mate. I don't know if Borthwick was 2017, 18 or something. But yeah, he definitely played a sole test in some Ashes series. He's one of the two. So but again, I didn't. From memory, he did okay, and I thought he deserved to, do a little bit more. And I thought if you're going to chuck a young player in for one Test match away in an away Ashes series, you surely have got to have plans for them. What's the point in doing that if you're not going to play them again? So yeah, a bit surprising he didn't get another opportunity because I felt like he could have been a very useful player, and kind of maybe mixed up a little bit with Moeen Ali at times as well in terms of selection and kept each other on their
Yeah.
toes. But is what it is. But yeah, he's in there at number six for me.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think maybe England mismanaged him where like he or like misused him where like they played him as a spinner where his stats for Durham in particular suggest that he's a batter who bowls. So
Yeah,
batted at number
but you
three
got to
for Durham, I
remember,
think.
yeah, and you got to remember as well. Like, I mean, I wouldn't fancy bowling spin up in Durham in April and May. He's not going to do much. So the fact that he's averaging
No.
40 in those conditions, I think, considering half of his games he's played, up there all the way up north in Durham, and also with the state of the championship diary at the moment and calendar, I think the fact that he's still averaging 40 with the ball, second a couple of hundred wickets as well, is again, I think he's very handy bowler as well.
Yeah. So obviously I picked Craig White, but I did consider Tim Bresnan, his exploits in that number one Test ranked England side. Obviously the likes of Anderson Broad get the headlines, but and obviously the world class batting lineup. But I think he for the matches he played, I think went on a long unbeaten run when Tim Bresnan played. So yeah, it was a very handy cricketer. And another one, I think he should. I think he's been unlucky, especially certainly since Baz McCullum took over. He certainly suits the mould, particularly with the bat. Is Sam Curran? That 2018 India tour I've spoken about before. He saved England with the bat a number of times, that in the lower order. So yeah, I could have gone for Bresnan or Curran, but in the end, I went for Craig White in the end. So right, we've got three players to pick each. So who you going for next, mate? We've got a couple. I think at least another seamer left and a couple of batters by the look of it.
Yeah, I'm going to go who I've got in at number 5. Now, this player scored an absolute ton of runs at county level. And I don't think he got a test cap, but I think he played some one days for England. And in fact, I know he played some one days for England because basically I've picked him because of the fact that he got down on one knee and slog swept Brett Lee for
Oh,
6.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I've gone Malloy at number 5. Um, because for a player to have the audacity to do that to one of the quickest bowlers in the world, yeah, fair play. I think you deserve. I think you deserve a go because you know what they say. Like a lot of the cricket and a lot of professional sport is about confidence and your psychological temperament. I think that yeah, to be able to do that, I think he definitely deserves another go to have the technique to do that. And even when you look at his stats as well, he scored an absolute shed load of runs at county level.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Um, and I don't know what his average is. I think it was at 40. So not underwhelming, but probably not one that you'd look at and go, oh wow, that's incredible. But again, when you look at the sheer amount of runs that he scored over a
yeah.
number
But
of years. I think
yeah, exactly. A long period of time, eh?
yeah, massively, and yeah, for me, yeah, I've got him there at number 5 as someone that could come in and start the engine room, basically. Yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah. Malloy was one of my it was one of my honourable mentions. So he hasn't made my team, but he's definitely someone I considered. So my number 5 in the middle order is John Crawley. So he got quoted by saying he was the type of player who'd be very, very good or not so good, and that's why he averaged, I think, just under 35 from 37 tests. But in his form in the 2002 summer. Um, obviously Michael Vaughan rightly gets the plaudits for his unbelievable summer he had, and obviously the 0-2-03 Ashes where he became was number one batsman. But I think yeah, John Crawley he done well that summer. He got recalled after a couple of years out of the side, and against India, that very good India team, he averaged just over 47. So I think he got a century at Lords. So, not bad to
yeah,
be on the honours board. And some unbelievable players have never been on the honours board. Sachin Tendulkar being one of them. So, yeah, I think John Crawley was a good player. And yeah, I think his sort of contributions that summer of 2002, yeah, sort of step under the radar a little bit. So he's my number 5 is John Crawley. So now we've got two players left, the batter and a seamer. So my number 11 and my last bowler, I think he could have been one of England's highest test wicket takers if it weren't for his bad injuries. He did play in 2005, but unfortunately didn't play another test after that. Is Simon Jones. I think he just played the 18 games in Test cricket, but he did brilliantly to come back from that 2002 three Ashes, which we've spoken about. He got that bad injury. I think it was at Brisbane the first test, was it? And
yeah,
yeah,
the
so he did
outfield, yeah.
great. Yeah, so he did great to come back from that and was part of obviously that fab bowling attack throughout 2004 with obviously Freddie, Steve Armisen, Matthew Hoggard, obviously Gilo with his his canny left armers, and then obviously that led into 2005
The
where he
wheelie
was
bin.
the win, and then obviously that carried over into 2005 where Simon Jones was superb and yeah, they've still sealed that boy bolter Michael Clark does the rounds on social media all the time, and rightly so. That noise it makes is biblical, as Jeremy Clarkson would say. So, yeah, and Simon Jones, yeah, I say his stats are absolutely amazing from only 18 Test matches. He took just he took 59 wickets, an average of just over 28 from 18 matches.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I
that's
mean,
incredible.
honestly,
And when you consider that,
unbelievable.
yeah, when you consider that, a large chunk of those were against Australia, and probably that best Australia side there's ever been. I think shows that he's still averaging just over 28. I mean, yeah, if he'd had a few games against some of the minnows as well, I mean,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
average would be ridiculous. I think as well, he was my favourite bowler of that 2005 Ashes, just because he offered something a bit different. He could swing it, that reverse
yeah,
swing, but also pace as well. It wasn't like a 80-mile-an-hour swing bowler. He was swinging the ball at 90 plus mile an hour,
yeah. Well, that's something
and
that
he did as
that
well.
yeah, exactly, and that's what something that that Freddie Flintoff said. I remember one of the lockdown podcasts. The Axis V were him, Key, and Harmison, and Freddie. And I completely agree with what he said. He said he could have been our Jimmy Anderson, like could have been or another one. Like he swung it just as much and but quicker as well. So it's frightening the amount of wickets he could have got, but it's still underrated, very underrated player
Yeah,
anyway.
and
But
he could bat. He could hold a bat as well, Simon Jones.
yeah, I think it was him and Freddie put on that partnership at Edgbaston, was it? I mean, if we didn't get that partnership, I don't think we'd have. I think
Yeah, he might
instead of Australia getting chasing 280,
have been
282, I think it
Edgbaston.
was.
Yeah, Edgbaston. Or yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So Simon Jones is my final bowler. So
yeah.
who's your final bowler?
Um, Well, I'd say my final two, the others I've picked so far are kind of been the players that I like the look of and I've got a bit of a hunch on. Um, but I'm not really bothered about the stats. But the next two, my final two, are very much stats driven. For my final bowler, I think you can potentially class as a bit of an all rounder. I've gone Keith Barker. Now,
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that he is still bowling and he is still playing at county level, he is still taking wickets. He is still, he can bat as well, score some handy runs. His bowling average is ridiculous. I mean, I didn't
Mm,
realise how good it was because I always, you always kind of follow the county game. You say, oh, Barker's taking a few weeks, and you think, Jesus, this guy, he's still playing as well, and his bowling average is something else. And I feel as though, I know he's not the quickest, um, but I feel as though he was a bit hard done by not to even be really in with much of a shout of ever really being picked for the England side. Because I think he could have been a very handy player, particularly in English conditions, almost like a prelude to Chris Wokes, I suppose. But
mm.
yeah, for me, I've gone Keith Barker in there at number 8. I've stuck him.
Yeah, top shout. I had a similar player as an honourable mention for my bowling is Glenn Chappell for pretty much the same reasons. Obviously Lancashire legend, and I think he got I think like 985 first class wickets for Lancashire. So, but I think he got one ODI cap, and that was it. So I think yeah, Glenn Chappell for similar reasons was very close to getting in my team, and similar to players who did play a decent amount of Test cricket. One was Chris Tremlett, and the other is Graham Onions as well. Were close to getting in, but in the end, I'm pretty happy with my seamers of Roland Jones, Sidebottom Jones, and Craig White as well. Right, so we've got one player left, so it's your go, isn't it, for the final batter?
I think so. Again, I don't know an awful lot about this player. I just know that they've scored an obscene amount of runs, and probably a bit hard done by not to be picked for England more. So I've gone James Hildreth at number 4.
I
Um,
did have it. I did have him until just as we start recording. I've changed him, so I was going to pick him.
yeah.
So I was going to, yeah, yeah,
As I say, the other picks apart from Keith Barker, I've gone for pretty much because I have a good feeling about them. Not too fussed about the stats, but then I thought, right, okay, let's do something a bit different for the final 2 picks. Let's just kind of have delve into the stats and kind of see who might surprise me. And actually, yeah, I was very surprised. Again, just the sheer volume of runs that he scored. And yeah, it's a crying shame that he was so underrated by the selectors.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, for for those reasons, I was going to pick Hildreth, but another similar player. I think a bit more attacking, but again, another uncapped player. I think he played some ODI cricket for England. But his red ball exploits for Surrey really go. He'd been a perfect baseball player. I talk about wrong era, like a little bit backwards on a one day um, play and style of play and Test cricket as well. Um, I don't know if it's the highest in one day history, but it's got to be up there. He scored 268 from 160 balls in a 50 over game. But also in red ball cricket, he got 47 first class centuries. It's Ali Brown, Alistair Brown. So yeah, he got first class over 26,000 first class runs at an average of just over 42. And he opened in white ball cricket, but was a middle order batter for Surrey red ball cricket. So yeah, just the sheer volume of runs and the way you attacking play as well. I'm mega surprised he didn't get a few caps that certainly deserved to. So yeah, I've gone for Ali Brown in the middle order. A couple other covers I considered was obviously James Hildreth, and another one was James Taylor as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, had a heart problem. He had to retire prematurely. So, well, there's our team. Sal. So here's my team in batting order. So opening, I've got Adam Lyve and Alex Lees, James Vincent number 3, Ali Brown at 4, John Crawley at 5, Ben Folkes 6, Craig White at 7, and then my number 8 is Liam Dawson, Toby Rowland Jones, Ryan Sidebottom at 10, and Simon Jones at number 11. So
What a number
what's your
11.
team?
So I've
What's
got
your team in order?
Michael Carberry, Ed Joyce, Ravi Bopara, James Hildreth, Mal Loyce, Scott Baldwick, James Foster, Keith Barker, Alex Tudor, Steve Finn, Gary Keady.
Oh mate, what a fantastic pair of lineups that is. So unfortunately we don't have the budget like Sky do. We're getting Benedict on and doing the fake game or whatever. Unfortunately, the virtual test
We can
thing.
just imagine.
I feel a bit, yeah. I don't know if cricket. I don't know if like any of the cricket captain games can allow you to do that, upload your own teams or whatever. But I think that'd be a really tight game actually if our teams played against each other.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, it would be quite tight. I think probably the seam bowling, well, the pace. It depends on the pitch. I think if it's English conditions, dibbly dobblers, I think I might nick it. But if it's kind of a late summer dry pitch, I might struggle with the seam bowlers I've got. But part because I think yeah, Steve Finn would need to do a lot of bowling.
Yeah,
But
I think your team will struggle against the pace, the sheer pace of Simon Jones and Craig White in my
yeah,
team in particular.
yeah, yeah. Um, but I mean, Michael Carberry PTSD from Mitchell Johnson. But the
All
other,
right, well,
quickly before we finish off as well. The only other bowler I was
yeah.
going to consider, Chris Silverwood. Ironically, I was gonna get Chris Silverwood in there as
All right,
seam bowler
yeah,
because he could bowl serious pace as well. He
yeah,
could.
it could.
I had a look. I think he like notched up 94 mile an hour or something. I mean, he could. He was pretty quick, but in the end, he decided against it. But yeah, I think they're two pretty good sides, aren't they? So yeah, good to catch up with you, mate, and I'll catch you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. So, well, thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you know. Let us know your 11s in the comments below, and let us know who you think would win out of mine or Sal's team. So, follow us on the socials, and we'll catch you in the next video. All the best. Take care.